he can sleep in my room.
Why are you so nervous?
Rain, have you ever,
Well, hello there, my loves. Welcome back. It's time for another book review. Motherfuck, look at that brilliant beginning. Hope I didn't burst any eardrums then. We are looking today at Future Boy by Michael J. Fox, released to coincide with the 40th anniversary of the first Back to the Future film, released in 1985, filmed in 1985, set in 1985. Yes, you get the idea. Right, I got this over Christmas as a Christmas present from my secret Santa, my sister Adele. A very fine read it was indeed, but we'll get to all of that later. Let's have a look at the cover. So, yes, we have the time machine, the DeLorean, speeding away, just about to open a portal to another time. The font is wonderful and it references the digital display of the time travel console, yes. And on the back we have Michael J. Fox there in his role as, well, playing Johnny B. Good in the film. Let's open this, get the dust jacket off. It's got a dust jacket just like the almanac did in the film. The spine revealed here has a wonderful bluish hue in a metallic sense. And inside we have this inlay. Sorry, I keep twatting the microphone, with various objects that pertain to the movie itself. We have the gull wing DeLorean doors. We have the Fender Stratocast, and various other things. Marty's puffer jacket and all of that nonsense. Inside, I won't show you too much of this. Maybe just one. We've got the photographs, the requisite photographs that we get in these kinds of books, referencing behind the scenes stills from the production of the film, various other things, shots from the film itself, and all of that. You know what's going on. We also have some excerpts of the script itself, a number of those. I'm sorry, I keep fucking around with the microphone. Yes, a number of those. Okay, the first negative thing I should probably say, let's start positively, let's not. So, yes, there's a bit of filler in here. So the pages from the original script and the photographs, you take all of that out and this would be considerably thinner. It's already a quick read anyway, as you can see. It's not particularly fat. So was this a cash grab, my loves? 40th anniversary and all of that? Perhaps it was. I think the publishers got involved here. Let's write this devil. Although I think Michael J. Fox does talk about that a little bit. There's no coincidence here. Yes, 40th year anniversary, but it's time. It's time to hear about Mr. Fox's impressions of filming this alongside Family Ties, which was the sitcom that he was doing concurrently with filming Back to the Future. Now, I don't want to divulge too much here because, there's not much really here. I'll leave that for you to read yourself. If you're a fan of the movie, which I am, and then some, you will still love this. There's enough in here that will tickle your pickle. However, I did hope for slightly more in terms of anecdotes about the behind the scenes goings on, especially of this film itself. There's a lot of stuff about Family Ties, which I never watched and probably never will. I don't think it was aired over here in the UK. I don't think it was, but I'm probably wrong. But anyway, before I go any further, I'm just going to say how much I love the original film. So, like anyone that grew up in the 80s, you will have seen this film. It's impossible that you would have missed this. I think we saw it in 1988, actually. So a few years after it was released, it was put onto VHS for everyone to buy. And we had our own copy and we watched it on repeat. When it came on the television later on, we always watched that too. So we loved it as children. And the problem is, I suppose we watched it too much. I became thoroughly bored with it. I knew it off by heart. We all did. But then I suppose about, I don't know how long ago, 6 years ago, something like that, I watched it again out of the blue. I thought, yeah, go on, let's give it another go. Oh my goodness. It was fantastic. I suppose watching it with fresh eyes helped, but also my more mature age has something to do with it. But I've just realized that it's pretty much a perfect movie, I think. Absolutely incredible. I got to the final credits when the DeLorean took off and sped towards us as the credits rolled, and I started crying. Yes, my loves, certain things always get me. Emotional things, flashbacks in movies get me. But if I notice something that for me appears perfect, I might weep. And yes, that movie is incredible. What shall I talk about next? Okay, so yeah, without divulging too much, I suppose I will just give you my take of what I was left with having read this. The first thing is the incredible feat that Michael J. Fox performed, not only in performing brilliantly in the movie, but doing it alongside his filming of Family Ties. Family Ties had a kind of, so it was every day, really. So I think it was 7 days a week. They were working on that, producing it and writing the Devil through the week before filming it in front of a live audience and all of that. This took up the lion's share. So starting around 7 o'clock in the morning until about 5 o'clock in the evening. He would then be whisked away to, is it the Paramount Studios? I can't remember. I'm sorry. But Hollywood, straight into Hollywood, and to start the evening filming Back to the Future until the early hours. Then he would be whisked back to his home, sometimes carried to bed because the poor devil is unconscious at this point. It brings home to you just how insane that schedule was. There's a really interesting section of the book that has a diary of one of the weeks during this tumultuous period. And it just blows your mind. The fact that he was able to do both of these at the same time and do them both brilliantly is just beyond belief. I don't know what Family Ties was like. I don't know what he was like in Family Ties. But in Back to the Future, of course, he was amazing. There is a bit of information about the Eric Stoltz tenure. So, of course, if you don't already know, they filmed a large part of the film with Eric Stoltz, a completely different actor, who, well, they weren't happy with him. Zemeckis and the writer, and I don't think Steven Spielberg was happy either with his performance. It was just it wasn't the fact that he wasn't a bad actor. He was just had a very different take. The writer originally wanted Michael J. Fox, but he couldn't be released from his commitment to Family Ties. But of course, they got around that eventually when they realized that Eric Stoltz was not going to fit the bill. So there's a bit of that in there. In fact, I think Michael was hoping for something that he could put in the book, a kind of resolution perhaps at the end of it, because he actually goes to meet him and they discuss the movie and everything that happened afterwards. But Eric said that he didn't want that published. So that isn't in the book, but there's a bit of that there. And by all accounts, they seem to get on quite well these days, the two of them. There's a lot of bitterness in the air. And this is another revelation that I had never known about before, but the fact that some of the other actors were not that keen on Michael appearing in this movie. For one thing, there's a certain amount of snobbery in the film industry. If you've got theatre actors, I suppose, at the very top, then you have the movie actors, and then you have down at the bottom the poor devils doing television. That's how it used to be. Of course, it's kind of reversed itself now with streaming services, but then there was a bit of snobbery, I think. But not only that, the cast had filmed the lion's share of the film already with Eric Stoltz. They had developed a relationship with him. And then suddenly the poor bugger is kicked out of the door and this young upstart Michael J. Fox appears on the scene. So that was interesting. There was definitely some resentment simmering in the air. Another thing that I got from this was an appreciation of the fact that I suppose we all hope that a film that we dearly love, the characters that we love, we hope that the actors will live up to those people. It's never going to happen, of course, but we hope. We hope that behind the scenes, they're all wonderful friends. We hope that Tom Wilson, that played Biff, was out of shot, out of the filming, having a wonderful time with Michael J. Fox. I was hoping for a lot of that, but the absence of that was telling, I think, for me. Christopher Lloyd, I thought they'd be best buddies, of course, playing Doc. No, there was very little interaction there by all accounts. It appears to be quite a shy and retiring man, although he does go on to say that in the second and third films they developed more of a friendship. Crispin Glover, of course, was in this film. For me, the best thing in the movie. I absolutely love his performance of George McFly, Marty's father. Especially in the beginning of the film, in the first incarnation of 1985, where he's a bit of a wimp and under the thumb of Biff, his boss.
I'll finish those reports on up tonight, and I'll run them on over first thing tomorrow, all right?
Hey, not too early. I sleep in Saturday. Oh, McFly, your shoes untied. Oh.
I absolutely loved that. But more so, I suppose, even back in 1955, where he's playing his adolescent father or his teenage father. Incredible, absolutely incredible. But yes, I don't think they had much of a relationship either. So it made me feel sorry for Michael J. Fox, in that it just seemed there was an emptiness really to the experience. I was hoping for a more warm, inclusive, loving environment there. I'm not sure if that was there, but that was my take from it. I mean, you might be able to read something else into it, but that was my take home from it. One thing I would just say, I don't know if this was in the book or in one of the many interviews I've seen recently, just because back into everything Back to the Future, I saw a long interview with, it was Tom Wilson that played Biff. And I think they were talking about Eric Stoltz's performance, or he was very different. He was a very different actor. He was doing it quite straight-laced. He was quite a he was doing more of a serious portrayal. He was a method actor. He wouldn't let anyone call him his real name on set. It was always Marty. But interestingly, his focus for his whole performance was the end of the film. When you go back, when Marty goes back to 1985, and everything's different because time has been altered back in 55. His father, instead of accidentally meeting his future wife by perving on her from a tree and getting knocked over by her father,
He's a peeping Tom.
ends up slugging Biff in the chops. A wonderful scene, an absolutely wonderful scene. But yes, Eric was basing it on the trauma that that Marty would experience going into this alternate 1985. In effect, everything, he's the only one in the universe other than the Doc that would remember the previous version of 1985. And Eric considered this a very sad and poignant thing. And I agree. As a child, when I saw this disturbed me greatly. Of course, Marty has a better life in this new version, but something terrible has been lost. Of course, his mother was an alcoholic in the previous version, and his father was a wimp and belittled constantly and daily by his boss, that bloody lug. It was called Biff. Yes. But it had something. And it's all gone. So that was his bent on his performance. Michael comes in and completely changes the atmosphere. And interestingly, this is the only thing I'll talk about really that which you might be able to consider a spoiler, is his first day on set. So the first scene that Michael filmed for the film, yes, was the bit where the Doc is loading the plutonium into the time machine. And right from the get-go, you could tell that they loved what he was doing. So his interpretation of it was slightly more comedic. And of course, he's come straight from a sitcom. In fact, that morning or that afternoon he had just finished. And so he brought a wonderful atmosphere to it, completely changing it. Who knows what the hell it was like before then? I mean, what was the Doc's performance, Christopher Lloyd's performance, any different with Eric Stoltz? Who knows? Who knows? But yes, everyone raised their game. But interestingly, another one last thing I'll probably talk about is, I can't remember. Fuck it hell. Someone's just gone back in time and changed something in my past. That's why I can't remember.
Doc? Don't say a word. Doc.
Oh, yes, that's right. I mean, I think beat for beat, this movie is perfect to me. And I was thinking to myself, why is it so good? I mean, the writing's wonderful. The performances are wonderful. The editing of the final assemblage is also incredible. The music, everything about it. But the performances are so good, perhaps because they've done a dress rehearsal. A very long one. They filmed the whole damn thing. And so I wonder if that must be an influence there. At the same time, a second performance, they're always going to be thinking, oh, shit, I nailed it last time. Is it going to be as good this time? So maybe it was a negative thing at the same time. But perhaps that helped the movie. Who knows? But anyway, there we are. There's another final thing. So for me, I think occasionally, I've read one of Michael J. Fox's previous books. I think it was Lucky Guy. Is it Lucky Guy or Lucky Man? I mean, it's just chick. Lucky Man, yes, a memoir. So that kind of dwells more on his diagnosis and coping and living with Parkinson's. In this book, there's none of that. So that's interesting. He's completely drawn a line between the two. But his voice is very similar to what I remember. Similar in some ways to Marty's character, a happy-go-lucky kind of chap, but also very driven. As an actor, he had a lot of ambition, but also he's not afraid of bigging himself up in this book. So at certain points in the book, he's saying, I'm pretty good, aren't I? My first impression is it's slightly big-headed to be like that, but this is me. This is coming from my British sensibilities, really, which are kind of going by these days. I think the younger generations are eschewing somewhat some of this self-deprecation and not bigging yourself up. I mean, I think it's a problem that we have, or I have especially, is not appreciating or extolling what you're actually good at and kind of keeping it hidden, almost giving yourself a kicking now and then. But Americans aren't like that. They're far more positive, and they're not afraid to tell you that they're good at something. And that's not a bad thing. I wish I was a bit more like that. So my gut, my gestalt impression was, shouldn't really be saying things like that, but that's my problem. That's my problem. Wonderful stuff. There's a great big long acknowledgement page at the back. That's something else you can read, a bit more stuffing. And I suppose going back to what I just said, I forgot to say, he has reason to be proud of what he's accomplished in his past. and this film specifically, especially now in light of where he is and what the horrors he's had to go through. Why not? I mean, he did something incredible with that film. It could have been very different, but there we are. It all worked out fine. Someone went back in time and had a word with the director and said, "This Eric Stoltz, get rid of him." But yeah, that's not to give him a kicking either. I mean, it would have just been a different beast, wouldn't it? A different film altogether. Anyway, there we are. I really enjoyed it. So if we get the devil down, I'll probably only give this 3 out of 5. So there wasn't enough for me. I wanted a bit more insight into the production of the film, really. There was a hell of a lot of stuff on the family ties. I have zero interest in that, my loves. Do you? I mean, it was by all accounts, it was a very popular sitcom back then. They did 5 seasons of it. I'm not interested. A tiny bit about Teen Wolf as well. But yes, I wanted more. I didn't want stuffing. I wanted more. That's my main gripe, really. So 3 out of 5. But if you're a fan of the film, do get it and do read it and get back to me. Let me know what you think. Anyway, there we are. Let's leave it there. Thank you very much for watching yet another of my rambling, shambolic reviews. And I will be back next week with something else. It will probably be a book haul, actually, because I've started a Dan Simmons book called Flashback, it's called. And it's fucking long as hell. I'm barely halfway through. It's going to take me at least another couple of weeks to get through. So we'll sling the book hauls back out. I've got 3 book hauls waiting in the wings. So I'm looking forward to getting back into that. Anyway, there we are. Cheers, cheerio, and keep those peckers up. And wands. Yes, cheerio. Yeah.